everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Tia if you're new here. I am very excited for today's video. I am going over all of the books that I have purchased in 2026, so this is a pretty big book haul video. These are all of the books I've purchased that I have not yet read. So in total, I've probably purchased about 35, 40 books, and I have like 20, 25 here as I've read a lot of the ones that I've already purchased. So I have two huge stacks here next to me. I don't know if you can see them, but we will be going over all of those books. Let's get to it. A quick little note before I go into the books on overconsumption. I think that this is a big critique of the book space, and on BookTube and BookTok, I'm seeing a lot of people criticizing readers for overconsuming books and buying a ton of books or buying like 4 different copies of the same book, and how this is like overconsumption. And I hear ya. I never ever want to promote overconsumption. If you are buying books that you are going to read, in my eyes, that is not overconsumption. You are buying something that you are then going to use and cherish. And I think that is, if you're going to buy anything, that's what you should buy. And so I think there's like a fine line there, and I totally hear those concerns. Secondly, I think that in our current world, in our political climate and the rise of AI, all of these things, I think that owning physical books is so important. It is a really important act, because when you buy a physical book, you own that book and you own what's in it, and no one is going to change it. If you buy a book on Kindle, the publisher can change actually what's written in that book, and you have no control over that. And I also just think it is so important to be a reader, and I just picture one day having a house with kids and like a whole like big library filled with books, and I can think of nothing that I want more in life. Okay, that's not me justifying me spending money on all these books. I really do think it's important, but also if you have 50, 100 books on your TBR that you haven't read, maybe read some of those before you buy new ones. Hey, I don't know. I'm not the book buying police, but with that being said, I'm going to get into these books. I think I have like 20 here, and they're a mix. A lot of them are from independent bookstores. When I go on trips, I always find an independent bookstore wherever I am, and I buy 1 or 2 books because, one, I obviously love to support independent bookstores, but also then when I'm reading the book, I'm like, oh, I got this when I was like in California, and it's like a special book to me. So a lot of these are from independent bookstores, and then some of them are from Barnes, and then I do have a few book of the months as well, which is a book subscription service that you buy books every month for a much lower price. And I do have a little bit of a backlog of those. I'm not caught up on my book of the months, and you can also get like add-ons, so I usually get 2 books a month from that. So anyways, let's get right to it. I am starting off with Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This is the first book in the Expanse series, and this is a sci-fi like space odyssey, maybe techno thriller. And these are chunky books. I believe there's 9 in this series, and this is also made into an adaptation. So this is on, I think it's on Amazon. It's made into a series, and I have seen people really love these. I also this is a perfect book. You can't feel it, but it's got the perfect flop, and it's huge. Like, I love a big book that is also floppy and paperback. This is like perfect to me, and this cover is giving very like 80s, 90s sci-fi like classic. I love it. I am actually in the middle of the Red Rising series right now, so once I finish that, then I'm gonna move on to The Expanse. I have started reading sci-fi this year, and I have just loved it. Dare I say it's my new favorite genre. If you are not a sci-fi reader, I'm telling you, you gotta get into it, because it's, especially if you like fantasy, it's like the same thing, but it's less like magic, and it's more obviously science and technology. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I can't wait to get to this one. Then I'm gonna try to do these more rapidly because otherwise we'll be here all day. So next I got I Who Have Never Known Men. I picked this up when I was in California, and this is, I feel like everyone has seen this book. This is a dystopian lit fic about these women who are underground, and they live, I think there's only women down there, and they like don't really know why they're down there or what's going on. I believe this is considered a modern classic. The author was born in Belgium and then fled to Casablanca with her family during World War II. So I imagine that her experience informs this story. And this is a very little petite short one. So I'm excited to get to this one hopefully in April. Another little like tiny one that I got is Comedic Timing. And this is from the 831 Romance imprint, which if you've not heard of that, I like didn't know what that was either. They all look the same as this, just different colors. And they're all novellas, and they're just little romances that are more, I would say, like character driven, kind of like lit fic, almost weird girl romance rather than like a typical rom-com contemporary romance. So this one we are set in New York City, and the male love interest is a comedian, and the female main character has just gotten out of a relationship with like an older girlfriend, and then she meets this comedian and they have a kind of whirlwind romance. I read Exit Lane, which is by the same imprint, and gave it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. So I am excited to read something else from this imprint. Okay, next I have Morning Star. I also bought Red Rising and Golden Sun, which are the first 2 books in the Red Rising series. I don't know where they are right now. I just finished Red Rising, well not just, a couple days ago, and I'm in the middle of Golden Sun, so that's why they're not on this little haul, but I did buy all 3. Well, I bought Red Rising, finished it, immediately went to the bookstore and bought the next 2. So these are amazing. I cannot believe I have been so stubborn and I haven't read them. They're literally so good. This is the 3rd one. So how it's set up is that there's an initial trilogy, which are just 3, and then there's a second half of the series, which I think you can choose to read or not to, because I think there is kind of a satisfying ending in the 3rd book. I will obviously be continuing on. There are 3 more in the second half, and then the 4th one is coming out in 2026. So we are following Darrow, who is considered a red, and this is a sci-fi set very far in the distant future, and man has colonized the entire solar system, and the society is split up by colors. So we have golds, who are like the elite at the top, then we have like silver, copper, green, orange, all the colors, and then at the very bottom are reds, and reds live on Mars, in the inner Mars, like underground, and they never see the sun or the surface, and it's called terraforming, where they're like mining this chemical to basically be able to provide like life and stuff on all the planets. These are sensational. I might just like put away everything else I had planned to read and just keep reading throughout this entire series until I get to the end, because it's like the second you finish a book, I'm like, I need to know what's next. So these are amazing. I got this one. This is The Fountain, and this is a new release, kind of speculative fiction fantasy, and we are following, our main character is Vera, and she's been like 127 or something or she's 26 for like 127 years, so she doesn't age, and then she goes back to her hometown to kind of figure out like what's the deal, like, you know, I don't want to be immortal anymore. So I haven't seen like anyone talking about this, but I loved the cover. I'm going to be honest with you, that's what initially drew me in, and I also heard people comparing it to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which, say less. Okay, then I just picked this one up last week. This is The Keeper by Tana French. This is a mystery thriller set in Ireland, and the main character is Cal Hooper, who is like a retired detective, I think from the Chicago like police force, and then he moves to Ireland and he's working on this case of like a missing child. I picked this up and I was so excited. I've never read A Tan of French before, and then I discovered that this is the third book in a series. So I did actually order the first two, which are The Searcher and The Hunter, and those are coming in the mail this week because I'm like, I think technically you can read them as standalones, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss out on like the context and the relationship dynamics. So I'm gonna read those first two before I get to this one. I'm gonna do all of my book of the month picks together. So we have the books I picked. This is April, March, and January. In February, I read So Old, So Young, and I already read that, loved it, 5 stars, amazing. So I'm gonna do all of these together really quick. So this one I just got in April, and once I finish Red Rising, this is my next read for sure. This is a debut literary fiction, and we are following a mother and a daughter who have immigrated to Los Angeles from Hungary. We are going back and forth in time between Budapest before the fall of the Berlin Wall, the height of the Cold War, like 1980s Washington, D.C., and then present day Los Angeles, which I love a family like mother-daughter saga across different environments and time. And this cover, I don't know if you can really tell, but the background is like matte, and then this like porcupine is glossy, and it's like, it's doing something for me. I love this cover. So I'm very excited to get to this debut. Also, like, I never ever would have heard of this if it weren't for Book of the Month. So that is what I love about Book of the Month, like always giving me new, fresh recs. This one I got in March. This is Almost Life by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And this is a sapphic, litfic, coming of age romance type book. We are following these two main female characters who meet in France. I think this is also set in the 80s, and then we follow them throughout their lives and how this like young relationship they had together impacted them for the rest of their lives. I think this is gonna be great. I actually have been seeing quite a few people read this and really connect with it. I've heard that it's a little slow, more like kind of like flowery prose and like kind of drawn out. So that's why I'm waiting to read this, because I haven't really been in the mood for that, and I think I want to be in the perfect mood when I pick this one up. This one I picked in January. This is A Good Animal by Sarah Marr. Okay, I'm gonna stop trying. Wow, that was difficult to say. So this is, I believe this is also a debut novel, and we are following a farm in like rural Michigan, and we have our main characters Mary and Everett, and they have like a young romance, but Everett wants to, he's a sheep farmer, like grew up on a sheep farm, and he wants to stay on the farm, and Mary wants to move on and like go to a city and explore a different kind of life. So we're following that like tug between them. I was initially like very, very excited to read this one, and then I did kind of see that some people were like, it's too much sheep. Like, we spent the whole book talking about the sheep. So that's why I haven't picked this one up yet, because I got kind of turned off to that idea. And I would check the trigger warnings for this one. It does look like it might be a bit of a more upsetting novel. So I'm a little scared by this one, but I think if I caught myself in the right headspace, I could enjoy it. So those are all of my book of the month picks from the year. This one I just picked up yesterday. I've talked about this like a million times already on my channel, so I won't bore you too much. I got the Target. I never buy books at Target, but I saw this Target exclusive edition, and this cover is like more pink, and I just thought it was so cute, and so I wanted to get this one. But this is a speculative literary fiction, satirical, historical fiction, kind of a blend of all of those things, where we are following our main girl, Natalie, who is a trad wife influencer and has like millions of followers. on social media, and she gets pulled back in time to 1855 and is like, oh no. And then she's trying to get back to her normal life in present day. I have been seeing really, really positive reviews for this one. So again, once I get through Red Rising, this is like very front on my TBR. I got This Is Not About Us by Allegra Goodman. And this is the same author of Isola. I never read that book, but I know it was very well received. I actually have no idea what this book is about. I'm gonna keep it totally 100 with you, and I bought this for the cover. I love this. I love like a pastel, like painting type cover. So that's why I picked this one up. I think it's a family drama. Don't really know. So there's that. And then these ones I'm gonna rapid fire because I did just go over all of these in my April TBR video, so check those out if you want more in depth about these ones. But I have, I think all 4 of these actually are on my TBR. So I have Slow Horses by Mick Herron, and this is made into an Apple TV show, which is the only reason that I picked up this book because I adore adaptations. So this is following like a retired spy group, and they're called the Slow Horses. They're like retired M15 spies in England. And then there's like a kidnapping, and then this group of slow horses is on the case. I think this is a long series, and I've heard like that the show is amazing. And you know me, I have to be like, I read the book first. So that's why I got this one. I'm hoping to get to this one really soon. And then also on my April TBR is Homeseeking by Carissa Chen, which is a historical fiction set in China. And we are following Haiwen and Suchi, who are childhood friends and kind of lovers. And then they get separated by this war. And so we go back in time to 1947 and then present day 2008 Los Angeles. This has been out for a very long time and people loved it. I was actually waiting for the paperback to come out, so that's why I haven't read this one yet. I have not been in a historical fiction mood at all, but when I am, that's the one I'm picking. Then I have The Three-Body Problem. This is I'm already halfway through this one, so my bookmark's in there. Wait, let me just show you my bookmark really quick because it's so cute. It says Hot Girls Read, and it's a little pink tassel. I love the juxtaposition of this little Hot Girls Read pink bookmark in my like big sci-fi book. Love it, the duality of woman. Okay, so this is a translated novel from Mandarin, and this is, I don't even know how to explain this because it's so science heavy. Like, basically, we're far in the future and aliens are making contact with Earth, and then we're using a bunch of like physics and like video games to like solve the problem. I'm gonna keep it like real with you guys. I'm not loving this, and I'm debating DNFing it. It is so much science that it's like hurting my head. As someone who like really struggled through high school physics, I think this might be a touch above my pay grade. The reason that I bought it is again because there's a Netflix show, and I was like, I need to read the book, but I might just watch the show because it's like hurting my brain, honestly. And then I have Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Haworth. I've also talked about this a million times, so I won't go into detail, but this is a sapphic love story set in 1990s Ireland. And again, I bought this on one of my trips when I was in Boulder, at the Boulder bookstore, which is my favorite place in the entire world. And I also bought this for the cover because this is perfect. Okay, we are coming to the end here, so stick with me. I have Dandelion is Dead. This I've also talked about, so I won't bore you, I promise. This is a literary fiction novel where we are following our main girl, Poppy. Yeah. Poppy has a sister, Dandelion, who recently passed away, and she goes through Dandelion's phone, like when she's collecting her stuff, and sees these messages on Hinge and she starts messaging the guy pretending to be Dandelion, and then they have like a relationship and she's just pretending to be her sister. So it's giving Unhinged. Not something I would do, but hey, I support women's wrongs. So I do want to get to this one, but it's also a little like, will that be too unhinged for me? Only time will tell. Okay, another one of my bookmarks just fell out of my book, so now I have to show you. This says, please leave me to my books and crafts, and it has this little tassel. I can't remember where I got these. I know I got them on Etsy. I will link them below if I can find them. But I'm a bookmark girl, because if you dog-ear your books, don't talk to me. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay, now we have a big chunker. I actually ordered this from Blackwell's, which is a British online bookstore, which it's actually crazy because the prices are a lot cheaper generally, and you can get like the UK version of things, and it's free shipping to the US, which is weird, and it always comes like within like a week. So I do actually buy a lot of books from Blackwell's because sometimes I like the UK cover better, and sometimes like this was, okay, I guess it's not cheaper because it's 22 euro, which is like, I think that's like $30. I don't know. Anyways, but this one's a signed copy. So it's signed by V.E. Schwab, which that's why I picked this one. This is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I bought this, and I should have waited to buy it because I'm not gonna read this until like September, October. This is definitely not a spring, summer read. This is a sapphic vampire fantasy. I actually haven't read any V.E. Schwab since I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I know that I will read this come fall, and this is a gorgeous cover to me. And this is also like an insanely thick book. It's like 600 pages. So we'll get to that, you know, when we get to it. Okay, two left. This one I saw Brodie Lockerbie, who I follow on Instagram. She's a big book influencer girly. And this is Life, Death, and Giants. This is set in Wisconsin, and we have this Amish family. And we have our main character, Gabriel, who is the son of an Amish woman, and then he's like 7 feet tall, and then he gets like recruited to play high school football. I don't know. I actually don't know. I loved this cover as well, and I love football. Like, it's like actually a sickness how much I love football. So that's honestly the main reason I got it, because I was like, I thought it would be talking a lot about football. I actually read some reviews and they were talking about like plays and stuff, and I hated that. And I was like, oh, that's what I want. So this one though is also giving more fall to me, so it's not on my immediate radar. Okay, the last book, and then I won't buy any more books, you guys, except for the rest of the Red Rising series. But other than that, I'm shutting it down. This is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and everyone and their brother has read this. I got this is such a pretty edition. This was from Barnes, and this won the Pulitzer in, I think, 24 or maybe 23. This is like kind of a retelling of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, in the same way that James, if you read that by Percival Everett, is a loose retelling of Huckleberry Finn, but obviously a very different take on it. I loved James. That book was so good. And I'm also in my classics era. I've read 2 this year, and I have a goal to read 5. This I would not consider a classic, but it's like classic adjacent. And I have heard everyone really loves this, particularly like my family and friends have been telling me to read this, but I've also heard that it's like completely devastating, like very, very sad, and I have not been in the mental headspace to be very, very sad. So I will read this probably in the summertime when I get that vitamin D and I'm like riding high, so I can handle a bit of a more sad book. But this one is gorgeous. It has speckled edges. I don't know if you can tell, but I know people are very divided on the speckled edges, and to be honest, I don't know where I stand. I don't know. Okay, those are the, oh my gosh, this stack is totally insane. I have a problem. Okay, those are the, I think, 20 books that I have purchased in 2026 and I have on my very immediate TBR. Please let me know if you have any of these and if you've read any of them and if any are favorites. And also let me know if you're like, ooh, don't read that one, because I would love to give them to someone else who would love them. Whoa, oh my. So if you've read any of these and you're like, not good, let me know so that I don't have to waste my time. But if you've read any and you love them, let me know so I can bump them up on my TBR. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and going through this big book haul. And I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.